Cookbook breads are probably one of my favorite things to bake. You can eat them for breakfast, you can have them as a snack, you can even eat them as dessert if you wish, but they're just really easy to make and they're really satisfying to eat. Today, we're going to be making cinnamon bread. Today's recipe comes to us from the Lebanon Valley Cookery, including Tried Receipts Cookbook, which was originally published in 1889 by the Ladies Guild of the Church of Our Savior in Lebanon Springs, New York. Lebanon Valley is just a little tiny town that is on the Vermont border, a little bit east of Albany. They put out this cookbook as a fundraiser for their church, and it's still around today. So if that says anything about the quality of the recipes, I think we're in for a treat today. We're going to start by creaming 1 cup of sugar with a 1/2 cup of butter, which is 1 stick here in the United States. I'm then going to beat 2 eggs and add that to our creamed butter and sugar and mix that together. We're then going to add 1 cup of milk and stir that in before we add the remainder of our dry ingredients. There's really only 2 dry ingredients in this. There's 2 cups of regular all-purpose flour, and then I have some baking powder, which I'm going to mix together with the flour before I add it into the wet mixture. Once you have your batter mixed, this kind of feels like a thick pancake batter or something like that. We're going to move this into a pre-greased loaf pan. This is going to make 1 loaf of bread, and before we put it in, we need to create the topping for this. I've had an oven preheating to 350. The recipe just calls for a moderate oven, which typically is around 350. However, there's no time listed, so I'm gonna have to watch this when it goes in and just keep checking to see when it's done. We're going to now prepare the topping for this, which is a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon of flour, and a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. The recipe says to rub melted butter over the top of your dough. So I have a few tablespoons of melted butter, which is going to go on top, you know, just to make it healthy. And then we're going to sprinkle our topping on top of that and then throw it in our oven. My first impression is that this is nowhere near as sweet as I thought it was going to be. Now granted, there is only 1 cup of sugar that's actually in the dough for this, but there is the extra sugar on top, and I took a bite that included the top. Very mild flavor. Interestingly, some of the topping, it must be while it was still dough and uncooked, settled to the bottom. So at the bottom there's actually a little strip of cinnamon that's going throughout this loaf. I suppose if you really wanted to, you could kind of swirl this together and make like a cinnamon swirl bread, but it's not nearly as sweet as I thought. It's not like a savory bread, but it is just less than I was expecting. The outside has a nice texture. It is lightly crisp, but it's not like it's overdone or anything like that. And just to let you know, this was in the oven for about an hour or so, since the recipe doesn't actually say how long to have it in the oven. It's interesting. I don't know that I would make it again, but it's very mild, somewhat plain. It's not bad, it just needs more flavor. I think if I were to do this again, I might up the sugar a little bit, as well as adding more cinnamon just to add more flavor. However, in the vein of recipes from this era, a lot of the recipes from this era were more bland, they were more plain, they were simpler recipes. As far as the actual bread itself goes, it cooks well. There's a nice crumb to it. It just doesn't have as much flavor as I would prefer. But I love quick breads. We'll do some more quick breads in this channel. If you're looking for a very basic kind of white quick bread, this might be for you. I don't know, give it a try. Let me know what you think. We'll see you next time on Recipe Reviver.